Hello, my name is Melissa St.Pierre, and I'm presenting you with this financial analysis for Gemstar Corporation. In this analysis, I will discuss the positive and negative trends of the profit and loss statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow report, as well as budget variance. I will also offer my thoughts on how Gemstar can enhance those positive trends and how to correct the negatives. At the end of the presentation, I will discuss 5 internal controls that I think will benefit Gemstar in the future, and I will discuss a few key terms and concepts that I have learned over the past 4 weeks. Net income divided by sales revenue equals profit ratio. Gemstar's profit and loss statement has a profit ratio of 42.4%. This means that for every dollar of revenue brought in, the company keeps 42 cents in earnings. This is a positive trend and shows that the company is keeping almost half of the revenue in earnings. The company can increase this positive trend by continuing to manage different events in the Central Florida area. If Gemstar could find a way to increase their client list and to expand past the Central Florida demographic, then the company will be able to increase the revenue and earnings even more. This could be done through marketing campaigns and even paying to have their name represented at different charity events. A negative trend that Gemstar is seeing on their profit and loss statement is that the total expenses for the month of August are almost half of the event revenue. In order for Gemstar to have a lucrative business, they need to either cut back on expenses or to manage more events and bring more revenue in that way. I think an easy fix to that is to look at the budgeting and to see if there are any unnecessary expenses throughout the month and year. If Gemstar can find a way to cut some of the spending, they will decrease the total spent in expenses. On the balance sheet, you can see that the accounts payable is only at $1,420, meaning that Gemstar only paid $1,420 in bills, compared to the $11,400 brought in for event revenue. Gemstar has done a very good job at limiting the amount spent on accounts payable. If that trend continues, where more money is brought in than sent out, then Gemstar will continue to have a successful business. To do this, Gemstar should continue to limit their accounts payable bills and continue bringing in money from events. A negative I found on the balance sheet is that there is over $66,000 in liabilities and equity accounts. This means that there is $66,000 that Gemstar owes to its creditors. There isn't much that Gemstar can do to correct that trend because most of it is for the loan taken from the bank. As long as Gemstar continues to pay the loan on time, then the account will zero itself out. On the cash flow report, the deposit at vendor and supplies inventory create an outflow of $1,833.33. While there is an incoming of $1,950.21. This means that there is a positive amount of $116.88 coming into the company through the operating activities. If Gemstar can find a way to keep that amount a positive number, then they will continue to grow. One way of doing that is to keep the supplies costs down and to keep accumulating depreciation. One large amount that shows a negative on the cash flow statement is the vehicles fee. There is a negative amount of $14,250 showing on the statement for vehicles. If Gemstar plans on buying more vehicles in the future, then this number will continue to grow and show a negative number on the statement. One way of stopping that from happening would be to either sell a vehicle at the same time that one is purchased or to take out a bank loan for that vehicle purchase. According to the company's budget, it looks like the revenue budget is in the negative by $3,600. This is a negative trend on the budget and needs to be addressed in future months. The reason for the actual revenue is lower than the budgeted revenue is because the event at the beginning of August was rescheduled for the beginning of September because of technical issues. The company should be able to make up the variance in the upcoming month. As you can see, the expenses for the month are all negative. That means that the company has budgeted more money for expenses than was needed. If this trend continues in the future, then the company should think about adjusting the budget in order to keep more money within the company instead of setting aside money for the budget. I have outlined 5 internal controls that I think will benefit Gemstar in the future. The first is bank reconciliations. By performing a bank reconciliation every month, Jumpstart will be able to make sure that the accounting being done is being done correctly. This will improve the company's internal controls because the company and accountants will be able to prove that money is being moved in and out the correct way. This is also a good way to have multiple ways to document transactions. At the beginning of each month, a designated employee should do the previous month's reconciliation by using a statement from the bank. Once the employee is done, the Chief Financial Advisor, or CFO, should go through and double check to make sure everything is being done correctly. The second internal control is yearly audits. A company should bring in a third party every year to conduct an audit for the company. This will ensure that the company and its employees are handling the money correctly to help prevent fraud. This internal control will help to minimize any money handling issues and will be a proactive way for the company to prevent fraud and laundering. As long as a third company is performing this audit, then it will be easy to enforce and make sure that it gets done. The third is background checks. Having background checks be mandatory for each new hire is important in protecting the company from having issues with employees committing fraud. While this will not completely prevent the possibilities of fraud or embezzlement taking place, it is a great way to lower that risk. By running a background check, the company is being made aware of any criminal activity from a potential employee's past. If the potential employee has a history with fraud or any other type of legal action that was taken against them pertaining to money, the company will have the opportunity to keep that from happening at their company. Results from these checks should be kept in the employee's file. Having them in the files is a way to make sure they are being enforced. The fourth is an organizational chart. Having an organizational chart within a company is important to make sure that money is being handled correctly. Having a chart showing who is able to approve money going in and out or signing checks is important for a business to run successfully. The organizational chart is also a way to prevent money from being misplaced or from being sent out more than once. For example, a bill being paid twice accidentally. Jumpstart should have a chart listed in the building detailing what each employee is responsible for. The final control is a written manual. A written manual that explains what each employee is in charge of, or a breakdown of the duties of each employee, is important for Jumpstart to run smoothly. If there is a manual listing what each employee is responsible for, then the company will be able to easily identify who made a mistake if mistakes go wrong within the company. Each employee should have their own written manual that they receive when they are hired. They will then be responsible for keeping track of their own manuals. Over these past 4 weeks, there are 2 concepts that really stuck out to me. The first was Hollywood accounting. There are 3 major points that make up Hollywood accounting. 1 is production overhead. 2 is distribution overhead. And the third is marketing overhead. These 3 points are used to reduce and eliminate the profit of a movie, which in return reduces the amount of royalties that must be paid out. The other concept that I learned this month was budgeting. I learned that there are 3 major budgeting types. The first is a rolling budget. Rolling budgets are continuously updated at the end of each month. A new month is budgeted and added to the budget. The second is a flexible budget. Flexible budgets can be changed at any time. If there are certain activities or expenses that need to be changed during the month, the person making the budget has the opportunity to make those changes. The third is the static budget. A static budget is made for a year and then is set for that entire year. Changes cannot be made. Thank you for taking the time to view this presentation, and I hope that it gave you a better insight and understanding of Jumpstart Corporation's current financial performance.